Well, I mentioned at the start of the show that a lot's been said, and I'm sure you at home as well have heard all the comments made about referees and refereeing in SANZAAR's premier competition over the last couple of weeks. And I'm not necessarily going to delve into the individual displays, but rather try and find tonight an answer to some of the questions that we have been harboring for the last few weeks. So joining us live from our Cape Town studio is SANZAAR game manager, the head of referees for SANZAAR, Lyndon Bray. Lyndon, good evening. Thanks very much for your time.
Good evening. Thank you.
Lyndon, obviously a lot's been said in the media over the last couple of weeks, and I think it would be prudent to start with some sort of statement from a SANZAAR point of view, rather than start harping on or nailing individual referees. You've made a couple of changes, that's done, but I'm pretty sure there are plans going forward to try and address some of the issues that have been raised.
Oh, look, thank you. I think the key is that we owe it to the competition to look for our very best performance on the field. This is obviously a frontline world-class competition. We've talked to our guys over the last 2 years about the need for real improvement in performance. We're looking for excellence in performance. We're looking for a top nucleus of guys who can really deliver to this competition. So one of our major goals at the start of the season was to fine-tune our team. We believe we've picked 14 guys who are a blend of very high experience at the top end of our team. Secondly, we've chosen the guys who we believe show the best improvement and the best potential to actually join that top-line world-class group and give us a very strong team through to the end of this competition. It has been a tough month. I think if you went back to the first 4 or 5 weeks, things were running extremely well. We had a bit of controversy in the last 3 weeks. We determined to show that our group is accountable. At the same time, we've got to really reward top performance. We've got some referees who need to spend more time in the middle and really build that game time so that we've got a really excellent team going through 2015 and, importantly, past Rugby World Cup.
Lyndon, I'm going to hand you over to John Mitchell shortly, but before I do, just to touch on what you mentioned about trying to grow a group of professional referees. Quick question and a quick answer, please, before I hand you over to Mitch. Do you have enough referees?
Yes, we do. And look, I think the first point is we've got the best guys from the 3 countries operating, and we've got some world-class referees who are refereeing on the top stage. Top 6 Nations, Rugby Championship, as well as Super Rugby. We're just growing our depth, and we've talked to the coaches a lot over the last 12 months about the need for us to grow our depth, and therefore make sure that from number 1 to number 12 to 14 is capable of any game, any time in the competition. I don't think we're too far from that, but what we've got to do is give those guys coming through who are showing real potential more game time, and that's no different to players. They need game time to grow that ability to operate at a top level in what is a great competition.
Lyndon, a few years back, the performance measurement for a referee was around a criteria of 85 points. Can you share us some insight or some light into how current referees are measured, or their performances measured?
Yeah, look, great question. We've pretty much done away with the overall marking assessment framework to that. I think what's really important now for a referee is that he's got to be able to set the standards in the game, and he's got to maintain the boundaries so that the players can play to a clear structure and allow teams with attacking strengths to use that strength. So what we measure our performance on is what we call 4 key focus areas, which are really important to the game, and especially our product, the Super Rugby. So we look at quick ball at the tackle and the fact that the referee is actually managing the speed of the ball out of the tackle, whether that be for the attacking team or the ability of the defending team to turn the ball over. We look at positive scrum, what sort of outcomes we get at the scrum phase for both teams in that match. Line out to maul, because obviously the line out mauling is very important in Super Rugby, critical to teams in Super Rugby in South Africa, but also we've seen some other teams from Australia and New Zealand now using the maul more importantly in their attack. And the 4th one is space. So we're looking to create space on the field, both specifically around the ruck, so that teams can actually clear the ball effectively. But also, kicks in play, where it's really important that we keep the players in front of the kicker from advancing towards those back three who are fielding the kick. We've got some teams in this competition who are superb at attacking off the counter-attack. If we allow the opposition to move forward and create a wall defence, we shut down that potential. Each of those areas, different teams have different strengths, and we need to protect the structure in each of those areas of our game so that we get quality rugby. If we don't do that, then we're going to let those two teams down in terms of the freedom for themselves to express their game.
Thanks, Lyndon. Just one final question I have is in my view, you have a very inexperienced panel, which happens in cycles over a 4-year period. But also I'm seeing a lot of referees that have never played the game. So is your development of referees different these days? Because I think there's possibly about only 2 referees in your panel, to my knowledge, that have actually played the game. And to me, that should be an advantage to them.
Yeah, certainly in terms of playing the game to a high level, you're absolutely right. We've got 2 guys who've played at a very high professional level, both in the South and the North Hemisphere. And it's fantastic to have those guys in our team because they really help the other guys learn and grow in terms of what actually happens in the game, how to read trends, how to be able to anticipate the play. It's interesting when we talk about those focus areas. One of the things we're really trying to grow with our up-and-coming referees is their ability to understand the game that's in front of them, understand they have to be able to adapt to the different patterns that teams bring onto the field, understand teams that are able to use the maul effectively, study how teams defend the maul, understand when the ball's at risk at the breakdown. So, when do I need to get in there and actually manage a real contest at the breakdown? When can I sit back in the pocket and allow the ball to be used? So, they've got to be able to read all that. And you're quite right, John. I think guys who have played the game to a high level have a distinct advantage. Our job is to make sure that all of our guys understand implicitly the team tactics and how to read the play so that they buy time and space on the field. Super Rugby is one of the fastest games, I think, in the globe in terms of rugby. So you've got to be able to anticipate quickly, and by doing so you build time and space on the field, and that's really important for a referee to deliver a top performance.
Lyndon, I've been in a press conference situation where post the matches, coach has been very disappointed with the performance of the referee, and they've always said they'll lay a complaint with you. My question is, what feedback have you received in the last 7 weeks from the coaches, and what do you give them to assure them that the next guy that you appoint is able to perform in terms of the standard the coaches are searching for?
Yep, look, that's another great question. So we have a couple of different formats that they can use. So firstly, we do a game summary of every match. I share that with the coaches, so they get a feel for how we saw the performance of the referee. And that's broken down into exactly those 4 key focus areas that we talked about before. And we're looking for game-defining moments where the referee interacted either positively or negatively. That gives the coach an opportunity to come back to us and basically either they align with our view or they can raise separate issues. The other part of the structure is the coach can come to me and talk about a key facet of their game, where if they think that we're failing to provide them with the right structure, then they come to me and discuss that, and I can take that to our referee team and make sure that we get the right outcome.
Well, Lyndon, I'm going to hand you over to Motsidisi, who has a question from one of our viewers. Mots?
And the fans have been talking a bit about the refereeing situation. This one is coming from Roberto Liam Fass. We're going to put it up for you in just a while so that you can just address him, but also just focusing on the referees and their performance in the game as well. So Robert asks us, why are you against neutral refereeing like it was before? Surely we did not have such significant and constant controversial decisions like we are having now. So why are you against neutral refereeing?
Okay, look, good question. I can understand and empathise with people saying that that there is an argument for neutrality in a Super Rugby context. I think there's equally an argument the other way that's extremely important to the professional game. And in 2009, the team coaches, all 15 head coaches of the franchises, agreed that the best way forward was merit refereeing. I think if you ask any coach, his desire from us as a referee team is for the best referees across SANZAAR to be refereeing in our competition. My personal contact with coaches is that they simply do not care where the referee comes from in regards to neutrality. So it's not an issue privately within the coaching environment and the referees. The way we look at it is that we're one team. We've worked really hard for 3 years to build what we call a SANZAAR refereeing team. So whether the referee's from South Africa, Australia or New Zealand, he goes through exactly the same preparation, same review, same performance management, which that's my responsibility to lead and manage. And we have 15 franchises, not 3 countries. So I don't look at it as South Africa, Australia and New Zealand as it is at a test level, where I think neutrality is absolutely vital for the integrity of the game. We look at it as 15 franchises, I suppose you could say in another way, 15 clubs. They happen to reside in 3 different countries. Just as the Stormers are up against the Bulls, whether it's a South African referee, New Zealand referee, Australian referee, doesn't really matter to us in that context. So we've stayed true to that for 4 years now. Look, I always monitor the feedback. I'm always interested in understanding to what extent is that feedback strong, powerful, what's it telling us? And I'm always talking with the coaches about the fact that they stay true to merit. And if they do, I think we need to honour that and have the best referees refereeing the best games in our competition, because that helps the game that we ultimately get to see.
Well, Lyndon, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of our time. We just never seemingly have enough time to talk about the key decisions, but we thank you for your time and joining us on our show, and hopefully we'll have you back on Boots and All soon.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.